Hello, everybody. I am Father Gabriel, and the next question for this Lenten series with questions is it okay for Catholics to practice yoga? And today, you're going to see me looking down a lot because I had to do a bit more research for this question than for most of the questions that we're covering in this series. And having done so was actually really helpful for me to help clarify my own understanding of how to answer this question in the future. The short answer would be, if you're actually practicing yoga, then no. It's not okay to do so as a Catholic. However, if you're merely engaging in an exercise routine and not doing yoga as a spiritual discipline or as an act of worship apart from the one true God, then it may be permissible. Though, honestly, I think doing so is kind of disrespectful as a Catholic. And please let me explain before getting upset at this comment if it's difficult to hear. First of all, what is yoga? I'm condensing this definition from the Government of India Ministry of External Affairs website. They say that yoga is essentially a spiritual discipline. It focuses on bringing harmony between the mind and the body. The word yoga is derived from the Sanskrit root meaning to join or to yoke or to unite. The practice of yoga leads to the union of individual consciousness with that of the universal consciousness, indicating a perfect harmony between the mind and body, man and nature. It's important to consider that if you're engaging in yoga, you are engaging in someone else's spiritual discipline and appropriating someone else's religious practice for the sake of your exercise. On the most basic level, we could say that doing the movements as such, stretching, turning off your cell phone and sitting in silence, trying to clear your mind of all the noise our culture tries to pour into us, you could say that none of these things is actually against Catholic faith. But you realize that when we're engaging in a class to learn these postures of this kind of pagan spirituality and worship, there usually are people there who are engaging in yoga as a kind of spiritual discipline, even if you aren't yourself. They might not even think of themselves as turning away from the worship of the one true God for the sake of embracing this new, to them, Eastern spirituality. I would say that as a disciple of Jesus Christ, the only way in which we could engage in the practice of yoga is to make a very clear distinction that you're engaging in these movements only as a form of exercise and are not embracing the spiritual discipline or worship apart from Jesus Christ. You might say, well, Father, that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, great. The thing that troubles my heart about this, or at least there's a couple things. First of all, that I think that distinction isn't quite as easy to make as people seem to think it is. These postures have spiritual meanings, and therefore the potential for opening my heart to spirits not of the Lord. But assuming that you are able to make that distinction with certainty and clarity, have you ever considered how insensitive it is to do this kind of piecemealing of the disciplines of this Eastern spirituality while divorcing them from their source? I mean, consider what it would be like if someone from another country learned every word of the Mass by heart from a recording they found online because of what we were doing during COVID. But the reason they did learn every word of the Mass was simply to learn English. If you had the opportunity to meet them and they perfectly recited the Nicene Creed, you might say to them, wow, praise God. Did you come to believe in our faith because of a video recording that you saw of the Mass? To which they would then respond, no, 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 no. I utterly reject everything about your religious beliefs. And about that guy, Jesus, who died? Psh, I mean, seriously? No, I only memorized the Mass to learn your language and your culture. I utterly reject everything you believe. To which, I think I would probably respond by saying, huh? What? Our Catholic faith has a deep and rich tradition of many spiritual disciplines that help us to block out the noise of the world around us in order to focus our hearts on what is truly important, striving for the life of heaven. But those disciplines aren't popular today like yoga is in the larger culture. I get it. It's easier and more fun to be engaged in something that's popular in our pop culture. It's more exciting to be emulating your cultural role models and adopting the fad of yoga than it is to be praying Lectio Divina, going on a silent retreat, or to learn to engage in any of the disciplines of meditative prayer arising from our rich Catholic spiritual tradition going back 2,000 years. Yoga is more popular today. But I would challenge you to consider whether you might try to adopt a mode of Christian meditative prayer that can be both a sort of calming of the soul and actually help you get closer to the life of heaven. If you'd like to have more on this topic, there's a whole bunch of resources out there. There's a letter written by the Congregation of the Doctrine of the Faith and signed by Cardinal Ratzinger, who later became Pope Benedict, way back in 1989, which addresses this same topic to the bishops of the church over 30 years ago. There's also a great video on YouTube by Lifeteen titled, Should Catholics Practice Yoga? And as I said, there's so many other resources. It's a tough topic. I know I've been asked it before, and I haven't actually gone out of my way to make this kind of a level of looking deeper into it. So to anybody that I might have not given a full enough answer to in the past, I'm sorry. I guess it takes a bit of reading to try to figure out what's going on with all of this, but there's a reason that there's so many Catholics who are talking about it, and I think it's just a good conversation to have. Know that you are in our prayers. God bless you. Have a blessed day. And please, let's keep one another in prayer. All right. Goodbye.